You're in all practice and practice and
Cool, cool. You ready?
Yep.
Live and
Yep.
okay, guys. We're going to get started.
I'm excited, yeah.
Okay, so throughout the day, more folks will be showing up. I've had several people tell me they're on their way. So we will continue throughout the day. The itinerary is pretty tight, but we're gonna follow along as close as we can. But I want to welcome you guys to what we're calling hashtag V2025. This is the time of the year where most people have either given up on their dreams, their diet, they're either going caveman, or, I'm going to just drink water for the next 6 months or whatever. And those are the kind of things that we find ourselves in January, at the beginning of the year, and we're all fired up. The reason we made this strategically in February was because by now, a lot of people have kind of put that thing aside. And the biggest challenge that I see in business, in life, anywhere, is people don't know how to network properly. And you may be some of the best networkers in here. As a matter of fact, we got some speakers today I feel like are some of the best networkers in town. And what I'd like to do today is before you leave, I want you to meet everyone in this room, including speakers and everyone else, and get some takeaway today that you can actually run your business. I'm going to talk a little bit about when I speak here in just a minute about how I do it, and then there's some folks that are going to share with you how they do it. And like I said, we've got some people that market on a high level in this room, and we've got some folks that, we've got author here today, Art's going to come up and speak to us in just a few minutes, who's basically wrote a book it's genius. It's right here. If you want to buy a copy, there's how you buy it over there. I pre-bought some for the event, so I'd have them ready for you guys. And so, without further ado, we're going to start the conference today. I want to introduce this fella right here beside me. A lot of people know him as that guy. He's the best kept secret in Knoxville. There's a reason for that, because he is my marketing branding guy. He and I have been friends for about probably 15 years or so. His name is what? What's your name?
What, my stage name?
Yeah, what's your stage name?
Big Drewski.
Big Drewski. But what's your real name?
Drew Finchel.
What about that guy?
Oh, I'm that guy. I mean, I'm branding, marketing. I mean, I'm everything.
Right.
Just about.
And so what you're seeing is a product that we're co-owners of the business ROI. What you're seeing is an attempt for us to bring people together in Knoxville to start working on building a group of folks who want to coach others, teach others, develop others, professionals that want to come together and actually grow your brand and grow your marketing with our assistance. We're not trying to sell you nothing. As a matter of fact, this event is paid for by us. We didn't get sponsored for this one. We really, truly have the one sponsor, and you'll get to meet him later. BJ, he let us use the building today. And the great thing about this is that this grows because we all grow together. You've got a lot of networking groups in town. Ours is very niche focused throughout the year. We actually have another conference that we're going to do at the end of this coming up here in October. And that conference is called RAC. It's going to be RAC 2025. That's a rental accelerator conference. So if you're in real estate, investing, that sort of thing, that's what that was for. This one today is more about building your business, building your brand, creating a great network, and creating yourself an opportunity where you can actually be able to go to networking meetings or go to conferences and go different places. And when you walk in, you have the confidence when you get there that you're going to take away what you need. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Drew.
Well, so one thing I was going to add too to that is with ROI, the name is Reliable Opportunity Investments, right? So the biggest thing that everybody's here is you want an investment or an opportunity that's reliable, and you want that investment to create opportunities. So the main reason why all these speakers are here is because they know how to create reliable opportunities to invest with the network. And the biggest thing is everybody wants to know how they can monetize their network. And so that's the big thing that we're focused on today. But like he said, you guys don't know who I am, most of you, because I'm usually behind the scenes, but I've done pretty much all your branding and marketing for like the last 15 years. But staycating.com, if you look at that logo, I did that. A lot of the short-term pro branding, I did that. And some of you guys might remember me from the Don't Be That Guy videos, which if you hadn't seen those are hilarious. You get to see him in a way that most people don't. But I'm the co-owner of Reliable Opportunity Investments. Today I'm playing part of the media team or whatever. But look forward to meeting all you guys. I appreciate it. So,
All right, without further ado, I'm going to introduce the first guest. His name's Vernon Corns. Anybody know who that is? Anybody know who that is? If you don't know him, it's my fault. That's what Grant Cardone always says. If you do not know who I am, it's my fault. Because I've not done a good enough job putting myself out there and branding myself in such a way that you should know me. A lot of times I attend networking events and I walk in and it's like I want to go in a corner and kind of hide because I have done a good job in some aspects, but there's other times when I go in and it's just I'm in a room full of people that I don't know. And there's people in this room right now that I've never met you guys, and I want to get to know you guys today. I've met a lot of people through some of the speakers you're going to hear from today. You're going to actually hear from them, and you're going to actually see how they have brought value not only to me as a business owner, but how I've brought value back to them as a business owner, and how we've all kind of collaboratively worked together. And I bet you I've done business with probably 80% of the people in this room. And that's pretty cool to say, because when you're trying to build yourself and build your network, I was in the same situation that a lot of people are in. Not even more than, let's tell you a little backstory. I am the owner and founder of staycating.com. It's kind of a crappy website right now. We're working on building the brand out on it. We're going to do some things that's really cool with it. But the intention of when we built that and built the brand around that, we built it as a business that sounded like Booking.com, Airbnb, and that sort of thing. And I have a list of about 120 something names that we started with before we actually settled on that. And what happened is in 2020, I was living other people's dreams. I was doing contract work for people, and I was almost basically a glorified employee of some businesses and some things that were local. And I was working for people. I was doing insurance. And I just had my focus all over the place. I was pretty much semi-retired for several years. Stayed at home, took care of kids, and took them to football practice and all that kind of stuff. And in 2020, when so many people were running away from the rest of the world, I ran headlong into it. And I was in a situation much like a lot of people today. I was looking for, how am I going to grow myself from here? Because what I had done is I had been a guy that weighed over 400 pounds and 404 at my highest level at one point. I think that's what we actually measured. It might have been even more than that. But what happened is that I had gone on this weight loss journey and I lost all this weight and had this revitalization of like, oh, I want to be somebody. I want to do something cool. I want to get out there and do something fun. And in my brain, I'm thinking to myself, okay, how am I going to do this? And because I knew a lot of people, but to be honest with you, in 2012, when I basically walked away from the corporate world, I kind of started doing my own thing a little bit privately, I had a lot of people that I helped. I helped them build their brands, I helped them build their businesses, I helped people build churches, I helped people build nonprofits, I helped people build a lot of crap in this world. And the thing about it is in 2012, when all that came crashing down and the corporate job was gone, I basically got the big middle finger from about 90% of people I knew. You know why? Because I was building for them, I wasn't building for me. And I was building all their stuff, and I was taking care of them. I wasn't taking care of my health, I wasn't taking care of my kids, I wasn't taking care of all the things that were important to me. If you guys are following me on Facebook, I'm doing a 28-day journey right now, if you guys want to follow along with that. And it's some of the things that I've learned throughout this process. But what I'm saying today is that we all have an opportunity today to make a change in our lives, to become better networkers, to become more engaged in a process that I think is what is the best way of building a business. There's really no ad spend on it. There's really no customer acquisition costs. There's none of that. You know, we always talk about what does it cost to acquire a customer. Well, I can tell you that a free event is the best way to find a customer, at least a partner, a collaborator, something. I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we go. But as you begin to think about what you're going to do in networking, building your brand and building your prospects and being able to grow your business, you got to be very intentional about it. And that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about today. I think what happens most of the time is that we think that, well, I'll just show up to a networking event and I'll bring my business card, or now it's everything's on the link or whatever you call it. I'm still old school. That's why I wrote all my stuff on the board today. I'm still old school. And I don't take business cards. You don't have name tags on for a reason today, because I want somebody to ask you today what your name is instead of being able to walk up and you say, yes, well, you got yours on, that's fine. That means you're prepared for the meeting. But what happens is, a lot of times, is we go to these meetings and we go up and we'll put our card in somebody's hand, and we'll just walk around and we'll socialize for a few minutes, and we'll go home and we'll never do anything with it. But today you're going to learn that that's probably not the best way to do networking, because it's just a waste of your time, waste of your energy. Like this morning, it's Saturday. You could be anywhere else in this world, but you're here today, and I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys being here to learn today. So what I'm going to talk a little bit about today, the mindset of a great networker. I don't consider myself a great networker. I consider myself a good networker. But what I found is that the more people know you, and the more people get to know who you are, and what you're about, and what your philosophies are, what your core values are, then they're more apt to work with you. And what I found is that Megan's going to be here just a little bit later. I had a chance meeting with her. Someone invited me to come and meet her at her office, and the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm waiting for the pitch. I'm waiting for the pitch. Everybody's always trying to pitch you something. Everybody's always trying to sell you something. She never, ever one time asked me for a dime. She never, to this day, has asked me for a dime. Now, granted, we may work on some projects together at some point, but what she said was, Vernon, you need to be yourself, and you need to be authentic. You need to start out by being authentic. And I thought, well, I'm on Facebook. I was on MySpace, by the way. Has anybody been on MySpace? I miss MySpace. How many of you miss MySpace? I had the cool music on there. Everybody was like, that's the rocking dude, because I had all this cool, like, 2000s and, some really good metal music on there and everything. And I just thought, man, I love MySpace. And I lived on Facebook. I had a personal page. Y'all mostly see my business page, but I have a personal page where I talk about football and crap. You know what's funny is the people that engage me are on my business page, though. On my personal page, I literally have very few people that comment or even like me. You know why? Because they don't care about any of their stuff I do, because they live in a different world, in a different land. That place that I call complacency, and that place that I call, they're just happy. They're mediocre. I was meeting with a pastor friend of mine the other day, and what he said was, Vernon, I'd like to be the guy who just goes home and sits down on the back porch and has a Bud Light and just sort of chills out, but I ain't that guy. I'm not that guy. I hope you guys aren't those guys. Because what happens is, with that mindset, is that we find that we're just so complacent. We just want to spend our energy doing what we want to do and not really putting ourselves out there. So the first thing she told me was, with your mindset, is be authentic. And so you guys may see me do lives every once in a while. I cried on the last one if you wanted to watch it. I'm about to I had said something on there, and it really got me a little bit emotional, because I'm kind of I'm not really a fader. I'm a man's man. I don't believe in, like, a lot of emotions and things, but when you start talking about your mom, you get a little different. You know what I'm saying? And so I got a little emotional on there, and I had so many people say, "Man, I've never seen that side of you." And I said, "Well, it was real. It was in the moment. So don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to, put yourself out there once in a while." You see a lot of kids on TikTok walking around doing that whole thing, and they're talking about how crappy their life is and how the world sucks because they can't get their internet fast enough, and TikTok got removed from phones. There's so many things out there that we can watch like that, but I'm talking about being genuine, being real, being yourself. Be purposeful. So when you're coming into a networking meeting today, did you come in with a purpose today? I hope you did. I know the speakers probably did. I know that some of you came in here. Hopefully you had a purpose when you came here today. So be purposeful. Because what happens a lot of times, like I said, we go to these meetings, we go to these events, and we'll take a business card. We may go spend thousands of dollars to go to a big convention. Y'all just got back from one not too long ago. I went to one last year. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. What I like about being purposeful is I know when I go into a meeting, I'm going to tell y'all two secrets. Now, if you guys watch me when I'm in a networking meeting, if I put a card in my left pocket, there's a good chance that person's never getting called. Okay? Just so you know. So if you see me put one in the left pocket, don't judge me. Okay? You listen, you don't judge. Okay? I do that. You know why? Because there was nothing engaging. There was nothing about that person that stood out to me. They're shoving a card in my face because they're trying to sell me something. Hey, refer me business, do this, do that. So when I go, I'm very purposeful. When I go to the Sono events, and I go to grid events, and I go to different events around town, I go with a purpose. I usually want to try to meet one or two high-level people, somebody I don't know. I want to sit down, I want to be engaging. So have a purpose when you go. Right pocket, those are the people I want to talk to. Be courageous. I was down in St. Pete last year at a conference for our real estate company. And while I was there, I got to meet the CEO of our company, and I got to see all these cool people. I was in an elevator. I literally was in the elevator with the president of Homes.com. I got a selfie with him because I had my elevator pitch ready to go, but that was not the time or place. But I had a great meeting while I was there. I had a chance to, Angel AI, they were running Super Bowl ads, basically the founder of that, the guy that created all that. I was sitting eating breakfast one morning. I was like, just sort of like, one morning, because shower was cold. We had this really nice hotel. The shower was cold. I'm like, paid all this money to be here. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go have some breakfast and just sit down and chill instead of going to that rah-rah meeting this morning. Because it's going to take more than that to get rid of my cold shower feeling that I had that morning. So what I did is I went and sat down and I was having breakfast. In the inbox, this little unassuming guy that I had seen on the stage the day before. And I'm like, that's the dude that I want to talk to at this conference. I'd already met one other person I was wanting to talk to. And just this past week, I connected with somebody at his company. I had his cell phone number. But you know what? If I had not had the courage, he's just like me. He puts his pants on just like I do. If I had not had the courage to just basically go over and say, hey, I don't want to interrupt your breakfast today, but I love what you talked about here today. I love your product. I want to talk to you a little bit about short-term rentals. This guy's like, oh, I've got a ton of short-term. And he starts talking about, I'm not doing these short-term rentals for him, but I have a connection. He remembers me. As a matter of fact, if you look at the post I made about it the other day, he liked it and shared it. Okay? Does that mean anything? I don't know. But if I hadn't had the courage to just go over there and talk to the guy and just say, hey, I just wanted to let you know I appreciate your product. I'm using the product now. It's pretty neat. It's pretty simple to use. I'm just telling you straight up, if you don't have the courage, sometimes you're never going to be in a position where you can make money and do the things you want to do in life if you don't have a little courage. I think you got to have some skills. I think you got to activate curiosity. I think the dude in this room that does that is very necessary right back here in the back. You'll hear from this second. Justin genuinely asks a lot of questions. He actually wants to know who you are. He wants to engage with you. I like it when people ask me questions about me instead of talking about themselves. I'm really guilty about it. If somebody says, hey, I want you to help me with short-term rentals. I'm really bad about going in and going and just telling them how to fix everything, do it all. Instead of asking them the questions and show curiosity. So that's one of my New Year's resolutions this year is to be more curious, ask more questions and learn more about people. So as you're walking around today and you're getting to know people, you want people to know what you do, but you also want to know what they do. Because honestly, you don't know who they're connected to, that you may be trying to reach out to. You don't know who they know that you might want to know. We were talking the other day about the six degrees of separation. I think a lot of people talk about, you're six people away from the person you want to meet. The only way you're going to know that is if you ask enough questions. But I'll be honest with you, I know people who know people that are very high level, and I've gotten really close to being able to meet some really cool people in this world. What happens with that is that if I don't ask enough questions, and I'm not curious enough, and I'm not actually telling them all about me and not learning about them, then I've actually got to a point in my life where I'm like, I got to stop being so talking. I got to be more listening. Be a storyteller. People don't want to hear sad stories a lot of times. They don't want to hear that your dog died. As a matter of fact, I had a couple people text me this morning and tell me that they're struggling. They got other things going on. Sorry, I bought a ticket. I was going to be there. And that's all good. But when you're at an event like this, you need to be a storyteller. You need to be somebody that is engaging. You need to be someone telling people how to do things. Start telling them a little bit about your story, like I did earlier. You tell them a little bit about yourself. Normally they either engage with it or they don't, but you at least have got to be a storyteller. I think I'm going to talk a little bit about it here in just a second. I think we got to stop being curious for a sales pitch, and we got to be curious for a solution. What I found out in my life is solutions to problems pay money. And if I can meet somebody and I'm curious enough to find out what's going on in their life, whether it's on a personal level, a spiritual level, a business level, if I can go to them and say to them, hey, tell me a little bit about you. Tell me what's going on in your life. You know, I genuinely want to make sure that the story that I'm telling back to them is, I can help you. Let me help you with a solution. And what you're doing is you're not actually pitching them. What I hate about LinkedIn and some of these other plays, I'll get a high-level connection from somebody, and then I'll get the one guy that's a sales guy. And then he just continues and continues and continues. And all he's trying to do is, hey, here's my product, here's my product. And this guy knows nothing about me. I've had people just assume that I need their services when I don't need their services at all. So you can look like kind of an idiot if you're trying to pitch a service that they don't need. So I say it's better to engage them, tell your story, hear their story, be curious, and work on a solution instead of a sales pitch. We always hear we need to know our elevator pitch if we're ever in an elevator, which I was. But you know what was more important that day with me was get the selfie. Because my boy over there tells me every day, get the takeaway. Get the takeaway. Because what I'm doing there is if I could sit there and pitch him, what am I trying to get from the president of homes.com except for the fact that he's a cool guy? I didn't really have anything to pitch to the guy, so guess what? I just asked him a couple questions about himself, and that was the day. We got a selfie, and that was it. I think you got to have a system. I think when you come to an event, today, the reason why I set it up today is to be a little bit, in the beginning, I said, 8 o'clock, doors open, whatever. I wanted it because I wanted you to come in and engage, and to meet others, and we're going to have opportunities for that here in just a minute, a little bit more. But you got to have some advanced preparation for these things. You've actually got to show up with the intention of saying, again, what is my purpose today? Who am I trying to meet? Who aligns with my goals? Who aligns with my lifestyle? Who aligns with what I'm trying to do? And so when you go to an event like this, or you go to a networking event locally, or even a big convention that you spend thousands and thousands of dollars for, you just need to have an advanced prep when you get there. Is your phone charged up? Do you have all your stuff ready? I've done that. I've showed up to events before, and I was not prepared at all. And so I think that you have to have an advanced preparation for that. You have to go in with a system in place, whether, like I said, you just do plain business cards or you've got your phone apps, and then make sure you're building a list. Guys, that's one of the biggest mistakes I've made since 2012. I used to have what they call the little black book, the little Rolodex. Matter of fact, I had lots of them. Linda knew back then. I knew everybody, okay? Anybody say, hey, do you know somebody that sells t-shirts? I sure do. And I was connected right away. But what I didn't do when I started this business, this is a hard lesson to learn, because I wasn't building a list. So I wasn't able to sell anybody anything, because I'm like, well, I met these people. I didn't have a CRM in place. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have the systems in place to be able to follow up with them. And so what I did one day is I sat down and I said, what are the top 5 things that I need to fix before I start networking even more? And so I got to sit down and I started thinking about it. And I built a strategy. I built a plan. I got very strategic. So now if I go to a meeting, I have a very intentional reason for going. I have a plan. I have a purpose. And then I just decided one day that I was like, I'm going to go to meetings, and there's going to be people there, and they're just going to want to talk to me. They're just going to pick my brain. They're just going to want to chat. So I make time for that. But the hard part is sometimes if you get to a certain point in your networking, you need a guy like Charles or a guy like Justin or somebody that has these events that'll come to you and say, hey, Vernon, and takes me to another place. I love that. I appreciate that. And that happens to you. Because once you get to where people know you, it's a good and a bad thing. So if you're cussing your kids out at the Walmart, it's a bad thing. I did this. I was a youth pastor at one point. Here I am, really mad. My kids were like just babies. We drug them all over the world because, I got paid a big, huge salary to take care of everybody else's teenagers for years. And my kids were just acting a fool in the Walmart. I mean, acting up. We're out in the parking lot, and I'm giving up the dope. I was just telling the little kids, they ain't gonna act like this. And the little sweet church kids and wife and the husband walks by and goes, hey, are you the new guy at church? Yeah. So when you become the face, or you become the brand, you become the person that people recognize, you'd be surprised how many times that I'm walking down the street, and it's not being cocky arrogant, but I'll hear people be out with, hey, what's your problem? And I'm like, hey, what's up? I have no clue who you are. But they see me somewhere, they heard me somewhere, and that's a good thing and it's a bad thing. So you kind of always got to be on your P's and Q's there. You kind of have to be the person that you are. Going back to being authentic. The last thing, and I'm going to wrap it up. I say you take your contacts to connections to clients to collaborators. Because so many times we get a client, and then it's just we're servicing that client and we're not collaborating. There's a time that you've got to decide to yourself, okay, for yourself, hey, this person's one of these 4 people in my life. They're a contact. Hey, I'll refer you some business here and there. You're somebody I know. Hey, I know somebody that does this or that. That's a contact. A connection is someone that you've taken the extra step to maybe do a one-on-one with, go have coffee with, sit down, do your thing. That's a connection. That's someone that you genuinely have started connecting with and building a relationship. The third thing is turn them into a client. Because if you can sell them your product, why not buy from you than anybody else? How many of you got best friends that don't buy from you? If you don't raise your hand, you're lying. Okay. I personally have family members that just upset me. I got people that I know that are self-managing properties right now. They're doing terrible at it. And you know what they say? We just think you're too busy. You're into everything. You're doing this, you're doing that. So if there's somebody that you've made the contact, you made the connection, and you don't turn them into a client, that's fine. But I'm just telling you, sometimes you got to say to yourself, okay, this person's always picking my brain. This person's always asking questions. And there's no reciprocal value. And not everything's transactional with me, guys. Not everything's transactional for you. But at some point, you've got to decide, am I going to take them backward because they're just a contact? Am I going to send them backward to where they're just more of a, an acquaintance? Or am I going to take the extra step to say, okay, you keep calling me, you keep saying, hey, why don't you just use my services? And if they say no to you, then at that point, you know that you've got a chance to decide how much more energy and time you're going to spend to it. Because I used to be the world's worst. Yeah, I'll meet you for coffee. Big Drew over here has always been telling me, hey, don't meet everybody for coffee. Just find the people that you want to go have coffee with and go have coffee with them. The problem with that is when you make yourself so accessible, people start getting that. They really do. So when you're networking and you start getting to the point, I'm trying to tell you the things that I know that I've learned, that you just have to be super, super strategic in your systems and your planning. The last thing is collaboration. Those are the best networks that I've found. What I love about this community is we are collaborators in these communities that we're in. And I want to tell you that the groups that I attend want to see me succeed. They want to help me build my business. They want to help me build my brand. They want to introduce me to others. If you're paying for networking, I paid for some networking like that at one time. I don't understand. So anyway, sorry. But anyway, I was giving and wasn't gaining a whole lot of anything. What happened was is that I went into this meeting and I paid this big amount of money and I attended all these lunches and I was having these one-on-ones at these things. And I was going around and I went to one gentleman one day and I said, hey, you have any referrals for me? He said, that's not how this works. And I said, what do you mean that's not how this works? I'm paying money to be a part of this networking event and I'm not getting anything from it. He said to me, you've not been here long enough. You know us. And I'm thinking, well, how do I get to know you? How do I get to build that if I'm not actually able to collaborate with you and work with you on a project, or maybe you just try me out on something? At the time, I wasn't doing a whole lot of crazy stuff. I was selling signs and paint. It was not that hard. Okay, I was the #1 salesman in the nation, Puerto Rico, and Canada, 3 years in a row as a sales and service agent for one of the major big 3 paint providers. But these guys were acting like I was some silly kid that, oh, we don't know you. You know what I told them? I don't need you. I came here because I wanted to make collaborative effects. I wanted to have things that I could build around. And the sad part about it is I think those guys are still in their good old boy network, shaking hands. You'll find that a lot in Smokies. You'll find that a lot in there in markets around here. If you're not in the good old boy network, if you're not in the fam, then you're pretty much left out in the cold. So what I tell you is today is the honest truth. You can get around that because what you do is you just go build your own family. I used to coach baseball, basketball. We called ourselves the Bobcat Mafia for Central High School. I went to Carnes High School, so I didn't even know why I cared. My kids all played there. I coached there. I had a lot of this in these kids. So We called ourselves the Bobcat Mafia. We had these t-shirts made. We walked around and people were like, what's that mean? If you don't know, you don't understand, you don't know. Because what we were doing is we were creating a family. We were creating a core of men in our community. If you mess with one of our kids, game over, okay? That's the kind of mentality I'm talking about. If somebody come after my boy Charles at some point, I'm going to say, you don't know Charles. I'm after my Justin that I paid. You don't know Justin. Because I'm telling you straight up, once you build those collaborative relationships to where it's reciprocal, and it's not about money. Yes, we make money, but it's not always about that. Sometimes it's, hey, pick up the phone. I'm having a bad day. Can we talk a minute? That's the kind of people I want around. I want real business owners around me that have a bad day every once in a while. Have kids that get on their nerves. Do that sort of thing. Because if you don't have those kind of people in your life, we got snowed out on our last event like that. If you don't have those kind of people in your life, you just think everybody's hunky-dory. You see the highlight reels on Facebook and you think, well, these people got it all put together. And then you talk to them for just a few minutes and you find out they don't have it all together. They got problems. What we've got to do is we've got to get past all of the facade and break free through some of that, be authentic with each other, build our mindset, build our skills, build our systems, and create collaborative relationships. That's my thought for today, guys. That's really what I wanted to tell you today. That's what's been on my heart. I went first on purpose because I knew it would kind of be, boring and whatever. And y'all just need to wake up, whatever. But I want to switch this into another gear now. You've got some papers floating around here. I'm going to ask some questions. What I want to do is I want to just talk through this a little bit. And let's just have some interaction here. This one's not going to be recorded. It's not going to be online or anything. So you guys just, Brian, you can record if you want. But our part of this right now is what we're here for today is to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to expand. And so what I want